Hello, everyone. My name is Danny. This review is for Proud Mary. Lethal, professional hitwoman Mary works for the most notorious crime family in town, headed by Benny. When Mary shoots a protected mobster in order to save a young boy, she must take on a rogues gallery of crime figures, from the Russian mafia to those closest to her, including her former lover. Armed with her wits and a closet full of guns, Mary must do whatever it takes to be the last woman standing. I don't know why they said that. In this energetic and explosive action thriller. Last woman standing would suggest that there's other women. So that was stupid. And alright. This is a 2018 film, rated R. It runs about an hour and a half. And it stars... Where's that at? Yeah, Taraji P. Henson, Billy Brown, Jahi Diallo, Winston, and Danny Glover. Yeah. So, I didn't know what to think about this movie when it first came out. There was so much else out. It had too much to compete with in theaters. It wasn't going to be a movie I spent time going to the theater and sitting through. So I didn't want to get out of the way. I wasn't excited about it. Just nothing. I wasn't really, thinking about it. It wasn't on my radar. So I got it through my local library and I just watched it. And I don't know. At the end, I'm just kind of like, it's okay. So I'll run through my notes here. The first thing is that obviously you don't get the first scene right away. I mean, nobody can tell the whole movie what's going to happen off the first scene, but obviously it has some importance, and it took a long time to figure that out. So I'm not going to say people are stupid, but it takes us a while to remember the first scene if your movie is a little slow. Sometimes we don't remember the very first scene. And I think that's what happened to me in this one, was that I just was like semi-intrigued through the whole thing, but then when it came to the end and it tried to explain the beginning, I kind of forgot about it. So it kind of had that vibe. And then I wrote down in my notes, but not everybody keeps notes like I do, that she did kill this mob boss, or drugs, or whatever he was dealing in. And I remembered that she killed him, but I didn't really want the explanation of why. And when they started talking about it, it just kind of was like, oh, okay, I'd say this is a very typical movie for what it does and the strategy it takes and the scenes it takes and the way characters play off of each other, and explaining at the end of the movie what happened in the very first scene that you kind of forgot about is pretty typical. It's not anything new. It's not anything different. So I've seen it a million times. It's like leading up to the one big job at the end. When they started talking about that, like it came out of somebody's mouth that they had a big day tomorrow, a big job. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Do you know how many times I've heard that out of a movie? Like, we have an hour of storyline and whatever the hell you want to put in there, and then a half an hour of this big job, and that's the movie. It's just very typical. It's just something that we've seen a lot. So I didn't give it much credit for being original at all. This movie does have good writing. I would say that. The hour of whatever you want to put in it is good. People are playing off of each other, and people are saying things genuinely, like, I was actually kind of believing them. And I think that the actors helped out with that. You know, just the way they were intense, and then they like did something out of the ordinary, like going to somebody's apartment, and that person didn't know that person had a key. I mean, that's new. It's, you know, fresh. I mean, something like that in the middle of the movie kind of helped move this along and keep it interesting somewhat. But the way they were talking to each other and the lines they had to say, especially for the kid. I mean, sometimes kids kind of draw along in the movie, and they don't really have a purpose or have anything original to say, because you know they're being fed so many lines because they can't act their way out of a paper bag, so you have to give them really, really interesting things to say. This kid was pretty original and fresh for a younger male, but he has been through some things, so he had emotion on his side. And so if he was able to use that emotion well or not, I can't really say. But I'd say he was an okay actor for a kid, and he had so many good people around him, I think it helped. So there was a couple things like Taraji telling the kid not to be friends with Benny, and then he kind of ends up liking him, and it's like, what are you doing? You know, you don't know how to listen to anybody for 2 seconds. So that was a little frustrating, trying to wonder what the kid was doing and why he couldn't listen to simple instructions. You know, when he got unmature like that, it was kind of tough to watch, but everything else seemed okay. But yeah, the full set of actors, that was very impressive. I kept knowing people, and then the one thing I didn't really appreciate is the couple people that I knew, and then they were on screen for 5 minutes or less. You know, I mean, it's cool that movies can get people to be a part of their supporting cast, but if you're not going to have them do anything, then just cast some Joe Schmo to be that character. What's the point of hiring some guy who I know his face, maybe not know his name, and he gets killed 5 minutes after he's on screen? I don't understand the point of that. So you can be as impressive as you want and pay people as much money as you want for being in your movie, but if you're not going to use them, I don't understand why they're in there. This is a small critique. I don't do this very often, but when it's so obvious, it's just like, I have to say it. Taraji gets shot on her right side. She's looking at the mirror, and we see her standing, you know, at a regular shot. She's working on her right side. Once she takes some alcohol and kind of gets on the point where she actually needs to lay down, she lays down on her right side. And I'm wondering who would do that. I'm wondering if they really thought about that. It's just something that I noticed, and it was very obvious. And I would have appreciated a little bit more effort on somebody's part of saying, hey, have her lay on her back or on her left side. It's not that hard of a thing to think about when you're thinking about making a huge movie like this. Other than that, I'm just going to get back to my point of being typical. You know, I mean, Taraji Henson was a tool. She was being used. She got told to do assignments because she was helped as a young person to get to the point where she's at. She wanted out. She didn't want that lifestyle. She wanted to be a mom. She wanted to protect this kid. She wanted out. They wouldn't let her out. She has to kill her boss. She has to move on with her life with what money she stored up. I'm telling you, people, I mean, we've seen this story 1,000 times in different ways, but pretty much the same thing of wanting out. I mean, The Killers comes up to my mind right away, and I love that movie. And that was funny, and it had intrigue, and it had a lot more different supporting cast that actually had a purpose. This one kind of ruined itself by not doing any of those things, and it was interesting, but it wasn't funny, and it used its characters, but not enough. Other than that, I just wanted to say about Glover, I love seeing him in movies. I love seeing him around. I love seeing that he's still doing things. He's an amazing actor. He's going to go down as one of the best of all time. I just don't buy him as a crime boss. I just don't. I don't. I mean, he's such a nice guy. He's played so many good guy characters, and maybe I'm not totally consistent on that, but I just think of him as a nice guy. He's older and he's played some nice guy characters in movies. I just wish he would be able to play something else other than a crime boss. He didn't really sell me on his character whatsoever. And I'm really sorry to say that. I truly am. I'm going to give Proud Mary a B-. I think it's very typical kind of sad movie that could have been something, but it just kind of kills itself by doing everything that it thinks it has to, by being a big blockbuster film with lots of money, and everybody in it kind of probably felt the way it had to go, so it didn't want to risk anything and do anything sketchy because it had to satisfy everybody. So I'm really sorry that movie goes that way, but it only had one little twist and it wasn't that big of a twist, and we didn't see anything at the end to really prove that they were able to escape from the lifestyle, even though they kill everybody. So if you're going to kill everybody, show them on an island sipping margaritas or something. I don't know. So B- for Proud Mary. My name is Danny. Thanks a lot for watching. If you like any of my other videos or this one, or just want to continue to follow me, I got a lot of stuff coming. Just hit like and subscribe on my channel and enjoy movies. Thanks a lot, guys.